Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday tone tip. On today's video, we're going to have some fun with the custom shifter, which surely must be one of the coolest features in the Axe FX3, FM9, and FM3. Before we do that, I'm on the neck pickup of my PRS DGT. I have the Brit JM45 amp model dialed in right where you can see it. I'm using my free cab IR in the cab block. I'm running the cab block in stereo. We'll see why in just a second. And I have a little bit of the new gold plate reverb in here. There's a pretty sweet edge of breakup tone on here. Such a great amp model in there. You could hear when I played softly with my fingers, it cleaned up. And when I switched to the bridge pickup and hit it hard, I got some really nice breakup out of it. All right, let's talk about the custom shifter. And what I've done here is I've added a pitch block between the amp and the cab. I'm going to select the custom shifter type in here. And before we do anything, I'm going to go to the master and mod section and set the detector source to input 1. So I've placed the pitch block between the amp and the cab, but the pitch block is listening to the raw signal of my guitar in there. I find this is a really great way to get accurate tracking, but a pleasant tone out of the pitch shifter. So we've set that up right there. I'm also going to set the level of this block to +3 dB, so we get unity gain when we're playing through it. I'm not going to touch anything in there for now, but what we're going to do is go to the setup tab over here, and we can navigate to the scales section. So you have 32 user assignable custom scales. Now think of a traditional pitch shifter, which is just going to give you, say, an octave higher on every single note. The pitch shifter will detect the note that you're playing and it will shift it up by an octave or to any other interval you like. You also have diatonic pitch shifting, where the pitch shifter will detect a note and you'll say to the pitch shifter, hey, this note belongs to a particular scale, say a major scale, a minor scale, or a mode of one of those scales, and the pitch shifter will then move it to a predetermined interval in that scale. What the custom shifter does is it takes that level of control even further, where you can say to the pitch shifter, when you see an A note, send the A note down a semitone, but when you see a B note, send it down 4 semitones. Send the C down 7 semitones, same thing for the D and the E, but for F and G, send them down 12 semitones. This is exactly what I've done for this example. You can see that there's no kind of consistent pattern in there, other than the fact that most of these are fifths and octaves in there. You also notice that any notes that aren't in my sort of predetermined scale in here, which is just a natural minor scale, don't have any pitch shifting applied to them. And this is a wild sound. If I engage this pitch shifter and just play the notes A, B, and C, I'm getting 3 different harmonies on each of those notes. So what I'm going to do here is I've turned that on. I'm going to turn the level for the second voice all the way down. So we're just using this first pitch shifter. I'm going to select custom scale number 2, and I've set the key to A. Have a listen to what happens when I play an A note, then a B, and a C. So the effect that I'm getting there is when I play the A, I get its low octave. When I play the B, I'm getting 4 semitones lower, which is a G note. So that actually creates a major third, G and B together. And then when I play the C note, I'm getting 7 semitones lower. So that's an F note. So that's a pretty cool concept. I think we can work on the overall tone though. So what I'm going to do here, and this is the reason why I chose a stereo cab, is I'm going to set the second voice here, or scale 2 as it's called, also to be the same custom scale. Then I'm going to detune this by around 5 cents, and I will uptune this one also by a similar amount, a very classic technique when you're using pitch shifters. Don't just use a single voice, use two and slightly offset the tuning on them. You'll get a slightly wider, more natural sound. We will then pan these hard left and hard right. I'm also going to adjust the high cut in the pitch shifter here. So I'm going to bring this down to around 4K in there. So it's just going to take out all the high end from the pitch shifted notes. Everything will sound a little smoother and more natural. Let's hear what we've got now. Let's add some distortion. I'm using the USA Mark IV lead mid-gain model, and let's add some delay. This is the stereo tape delay, 600 milliseconds of delay, a little bit of left-right offset, and the mix around 25%. This is so much fun. I'll let you hear the melody I'm about to play, or attempt to play both times, with and without that pitch block. There's some great examples of using this custom shifter for playing particular harmony guitar parts. For example, where you need a straight thirds harmony on all but one note, where it might be a perfect fourth or a perfect fifth. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy is a great example of this, and there's some videos already out, including on my channel and the Austin Buddy channel, on how to do this. But I want to show you a totally wild way to do this on the Axe FX3, 2 custom shifters, 4 custom scales in here. So let's look at the pitch block setup in here. I'm using scale 10, 11, 12, and 13 that I've programmed in here, and essentially the same idea. We've got them running in parallel. I've got the voices panned out, hard left and hard right. No detune in there because they're different custom scales, but you could add some of that if you like. The detectors on both of them are looking at input 1 on the Axe FX, and the pitch shifters are placed between the amp and the cab. This is a stereo cab as well. Let's take a look at the custom scales though. So we'll take a look at number 10, and this looks kind of wild, but the piece that I'm playing is derived from the chords in a Ragdoll song called Shine. So the first custom scale is pretty much just doing octaves in the key of C minor, except for one note over here. It's going down 7 semitones. Custom scale 11 is either doing 5 semitones up or down on selected notes. And again, this A sharp note is the one where all the differences are. Then we've got mostly fifths in here, but we do have some thirds and a very interesting 11 semitones on this one. And for custom scale 13, you can see there's a bunch of high voices and low voices. Essentially what's going on, I'm going to play you the chords that I play in the chorus of this song. I've programmed these 4 voices to grab the specific notes in the specific voicings that I play. So that's what we've done with the custom scales. I'll let you hear this. I should set the bypass mode to all of these as mute in as well if I want to bypass them. So we'll do that. And I'll play you the chords really, really quickly, and then I'll play the single notes with custom scales. Then we'll hear them with a bunch of delay added to all the voices. This is totally out of this world. It really pushes you out of what your ears expect to hear when you're playing particular notes and harmonies, which I really like. It's also such an amazing example of how you can use the Fractal ecosystem as an amazing creative tool to make sounds that you've never really heard of or that would be impossible to make with other pieces of gear. I'm going to play you all out with the first example that we looked at. I've just added a few blocks, namely the crystal echoes and the plex verb. I've added them to the wet signal on the custom shifter and not the dry signal. I'm going to put these presets up in the video description. If you would like to download them, you will have to copy the custom scales settings as well on there. If you're interested in that, I'll also put up a little document with the custom scale settings. Otherwise, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next week for another Tuesday Tone Tip.